Hello everyone, welcome to the movie rental refactoring Kata, and in this video I'll show you how to implement the movie rental Kata. Now we first start out with our program here, and in this program what this program does is that it is used to track rentals in a video shop. And in this tiny little piece of code here, what we do is that we print out the amount owed and the amount earned from a person borrowing several videos, and it calculates the amount owed and the amount of frequent renter points. So if you look at the code here, what happens here is that there's a movie and there are different types of releases. There's regular, there's new release, and there's children's movies. So the task is to enhance existing system to upload the customer statement using HTML instead of plain text. If we look at the program here, so this is the text here. So let's go run the program here, and then we gotta just output the program and show you what the output of the program is going to be like. So here we have here, and I'm going to just print out the output of the program. And just going to run the program. And you can see this will be the rental record for our customer, Roger Ebert, Captain Marvel, $6, Aladdin, $150, Back to the Future, $2, and total amount is $9.50, and he earned 4 frequent rental points. And this is our program here. Now, as you can see, there's only 3 classes here: the movie, rental, and customer. And in this program, okay, it's a poly. The program is the current system as movie, rental, and customer, and has enumeration of 3 different releases. Now the problem is in our code, right? It is difficult to change it. Now a poorly designed system is hard to change, and hard because it's hard to figure out where the changes are needed. Now our task is to convert our code to output into HTML. Now if we look at our code here, these are just simple classes. Rental is just a simple class. Movie is just a simple class of getters and setters. And the problem is the statement here. It has this total amount, frequent rental points, there's a result, and there's a one big for loop here, and there's a switch statement, and it calculates the frequent rental points and the new releases. How are we going to modify this or copy this code so they will output your HTML statements? Then do we just do a copy and paste? But the problem is what happens when there are changes to be added later on. So if it's hard to figure out what to change, there's a strong chance that the programmer will make a mistake and introduce bugs. Now, in order to do refactoring, you must first have unit tests. Now, the tests are essential because even though I follow refactorings, and I could be as careful as I like, but because I'm human, I could still introduce bugs into my code. So here we have unit tests. So in this program here, I already installed unit tests for you. So just go to view and go test. And you can see that there are lots of tests over here that are inside our code here. And if you look at our movie rental program and the CS here, there are all sorts of tests here. And if I run the tests, you can see all the different tests are running, all the different test cases are running. So this will be our safety net in case we make any errors or changes in code, that you will catch errors or problems that we may introduce. So unit tests are very important. Okay, so let's, without further ado, let's get into the refactoring steps for this movie rental Kata that was introduced in Martin Fowler's book Refactoring. So the first one is to use the extract method to extract amount for method, which is in our switch statement here. So let's go out of switch statement. So the first step is here. Now, Before we make any refactoring, by the way, we must still, of course, use a version control system so that we can actually roll back any changes or mistakes that we make. So let's go to our console here. Let's go to my projects and then movie rental Kata. Okay, so if I put a git status, there is no repository here. So what I'm going to do is to do a git init. So good status, so no commits yet. I've already created the git ignore, so you can see the git ignores here. So all I do is git status, and I just do git add -a to add all git status. So it's all added to our staging area, and then I'm just going to do a git commit -m initial commit. So there we have it. So now if we go back to our movie rental, this is our call this, so we can obviously look at our version control, and then we can always make any changes if we want to save any changes that we add. So version control is the first step 0 before we do our refactoring. Now what we're going to do now is going to extract this, convert the switch statements for amount 4. Now why is this one of the first things I can do to refactor? Because I see that this one just uses information from the rental, right? So and then it does, and it can be and it just calculates the rental of the amount, and that's all it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to just come here. Now our IDE has a very nice tools, which we have this thing called extract method. So I'm going to just go extract the method over here, and you can see there's now a static method here, and I'm going to call it amount 4. Okay. Now after that we got this amount. Now the thing is, when we look about this amount, it only modifies it, but it does not read to the variable here. So we actually don't need this amount here, and we in fact we can just we could actually just remove this variable called this amount. Okay, and then we gotta just put double this amount. Okay, and we can just remove this one over here. And let's run the program and see whether this works. Build successful, and all the tests succeed. So this allows us to move all this code into another method called amount 4. So that's the first refactoring, which is to use extract method. Okay, so let's do that, and we're gonna just review the solution and commit. Just go commit here. Okay, so that's it. So that's the first part of our refactoring. Now the next thing is when we do our refactoring, we can notice that there's this amount. Now I don't like the word this amount because it doesn't tell us what is this amount for. It's not a very descriptive variable name. So instead I'll just refactor and call it rename, and I'll call it result. Okay, and then after that, let's run our unit tests again. Unit tests are very important so that when we make any changes, we can always make sure our code is running correctly. So result works. So again, I come back to version control, review solution, and you can see that all these changes. So I can use calls rename variable this amount to result, and I got commit. Okay. The next thing we see when we go is simplify a program now is that we realize that all of the calculation for amount 4 actually looks at rental. It just calculates the result from rental. And because of this, what happens is that we realize that actually if this all this is based on rental on something else, it should be actually be moved to the rental class instead of staying within the statement method or within the customer class. So first of all, before we actually delete this code, what we can do is that we copy the code to rental. Okay, so what we're going to do is copy the code. Okay, so copy. So we can just go copy here, and then you just go move it to rental instead, and we got paste it over here. Okay, so we're going to put it over here. Now it cannot be a static method, okay, because it depends on rental. So we're going to remove static here, and we're going to remove rental here. Okay, so we're going to come here, and since there's no rental, right, so we have to call it this because it works on this class, the instance of this object here. So let's put this, and this. Okay, we haven't called our code yet, but just want to make sure it builds and runs all the tests successfully. So instead of amount for rental, we're just gonna call rental dot okay, where's the method? Oh, it's private, so it can't be private, right? So let's just call it amount for public amount for, okay, and just run the code. Build successful. Okay. All tests run. Okay, good. So because of that, it runs. So that means we can actually remove this code here. So let's remove all this code, so we don't really need it anymore. Okay, and then run the test again. Ta-da! So it works. So because it works now, we can actually put inside our version control, and we can look at our changes here. So this was added into the rental class and was actually removed from the statement method. So let's commit move method amount for to rental class. So that's the next step that we have in our class here. So we got statement, and we moved it, and we just call amount for into our code. So if we look at so the first step was extract the method. Next step we did was rename the variable from this amount to result, because we need to communicate what it is done doing clear. Variable names are key to clear code. Our third step was to move our method amount for. So it only uses information from the rental class, so it should be moved to the rental class. And the other thing is that I will rename the method as getCharge instead of amount for, but I call it getCharge. So again, what I do here is I call it refactor, rename, I'll call it getCharge. Okay, so if you look over in our IDE, it actually changes the method here. Do a run all, and build successful, runs very good. So we do our version control, we do our rename of our method here. So just go and do a commit. So we call rename amount for to get charge, and then we have renamed our method here. Okay, so what's our next step here? Okay, now in our next step, what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate. Okay, so we have extracted the get charge into our from the customer. We've moved into the rental class. Our next step is to eliminate this amount temporary. This amount in statement is redundant. Okay, so we got to use replace temp with a query method. Temporary variables are often a problem because they cause parameters to be passed around when they don't have to be. Okay, so if we look at our code again, notice this variable, this amount, and it's being used here, 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 and here. The only thing is done is that it's assigned to and then it's read twice. So if we it's a problem is because of this variable. After a while, if it's a very long uh, procedure, we may lose track of what variables are supposed to do. So so the advantage of eliminating it is that there are less variables to track. However, there is a disadvantage because why? Because the calculation is done twice, but we will do the optimization later when the code is refactored. So obviously this is done, this amount is used. So let's just remove this one. So replace query temp rental.getCharge. So again here we just call it rental.getCharge. Okay, so we don't need this, and this one will be rental.getCharge. Okay, so that's it. So we remove that variable, this amount, and let's run all again. All the unit tests run, so we actually eliminated that variable. So let's do a version control, review the solution, and commit. So remove the variable this amount and just call get charge directly into our function. Okay, and then we just commit. So now we've done that so far. Okay. Next, our next step is to extract the method get frequent renter points. Now, rental points are calculated based on the rental, not customer, and should be moved to the rental object. So we got to use extract method and move method refactorings. So notice here there's a refactor frequent rental points, right? And then there's a calculation of the frequent rental points here. So what can we do? We are going to extract the method on frequent renter points. Okay, so we call this get frequent points. Okay, run all. Okay, now notice that the frequent renter point is only modified, so we can actually just remove this. Okay, and then here we just put a plus here. Okay, so what happens is that we know that we got to get 1, and then if it is a new release and number of days rented, you just add one more, and then we return the result. And then you just gonna return over here, and that's it. So actually what happens is that we got just add one point, and then if it's new release, this one, and result give you another bonus point. So that's the result. So again, here we've done is that we've moved the method get frequent renter points, extracted the method. Okay, so what we're going to do is do version control. Okay, you can see here that what we do is that we extract the method. Just put get extract frequent renter point. Okay, now we do a commit. Next, again the same issues again, because it actually does the calculation based on rental. This actually should be moved to the rental class. So again, we do the same thing over here. We got copy it. Okay, and then we go to the rental class, and then we just put the points here. Can't be static because it's based on this item here. And public, call it this and this. Okay. We haven't called it yet, by the way. Okay, and then we can come over down here. So we don't call it get frequent renter point, just call it rental. And then call this build successful, test it, everything works. Then we can remove this one. Run one more time, make sure everything works. Okay, good. So that's it. So we've actually moved the method from the statement to the rental class. So let's do a version control. You can see our changes here. We deleted it from here and then we moved it to the rental class. Okay. Now what's our next step here? So now we've moved it to the rental class, and let's look at what else can we change here. So we extracted it. So we created get frequent renter points and move it to rental. Step 6. Step 6 is to replace temp with query. Now replace temp with query to create methods get total charge and get total frequent renter points. And these methods can be reused in the HTML statement method, which we will create later. So we got this thing here. So notice here, now notice there's this total amount, and what it does is that it comes over here and then just get a rental get charge. So we got to put it over into our method here. Okay, and for this we need to actually do a loop. And we got to replace temp with query. I'm going to call this get total charge instead. So let's see whether this works. Oops. Oh, forgot this. Let's run this again. Okay, so get total charge. So instead of getting the total here, we gotta just remove this. Just gotta remove this one, and we gotta call it, create a query and call it get total charge instead. Okay, so we can remove this temp here. this temporary can be removed. Okay, so there we are. Review solution. So we removed total amount. In fact, we just created a method called get total charge. So we just do a commit. And there's another thing that we can also do, which is the frequent renter points. So what we can do is same thing, but we're gonna call it get frequent renter points. Okay, so I haven't used it yet, so let's just make sure our bill is correct. Okay, and then let's comment this out first. And this will be our method, which is get total frequent renter points. Okay, this is total frequent renter points. Works. Okay, so we can remove this temporary variable. Okay, run the test one more time. Everything works. So again, we can review a solution before we commit. Frequent renter points, so you can see you can remove our temporary variable just to create a method called get total frequent renter points. And we commit. Okay, but there's a question, but you're looping twice. Yes. So in our previous statement, okay, we loop only one time and then we calculate our frequent rental point. Uh, but then we also calculate our rental charges. Yes, so it may seem inefficient, but until you profile, you cannot tell how much time is needed for the loop to calculate whether the loop is called often enough for it to affect the overall performance of the system. We do not worry about this while refactoring because we need to make our code easy to read, easy to modify. If there's inefficiencies later, it'll be easier for us to fix our inefficiencies if you have your code nicely refactored. So what we have now is that we have our customer. We have two more methods called get total charge and get total frequent renter points. Now with this, we can create our HTML statement. So finally, we can add in the enhancements. So now that we've refactored code, it's easy to create the HTML statement method that you are tasked to do. Okay, so let's create our HTML statement. So now look at our statement now. This method is very easy to write. So we can just do this. We can just copy this and then we can just paste our code here and then we call it create HTML statement. And we can say rental record. We can just put here H1 H1 and then we can put emphasis for every rental. Okay, we can just put charge to string. put an ordered list. You can put over here. Okay, if you want to make it readable, you can put always a \n here. So again, line item, and then we got rental charge, so we can just put it something here. Tabs are irrelevant in HTML. Okay, what else can we do? Okay, so amount owed, so we can add in the footer lines. And at the bottom here, amount owed is and then you earned how much points. Okay, let's have a look. So we call this HTML statement, and let's run our program. So H1 emphasis Roger Ebert ordered line items. This is our output here. Line item amount owed is this amount. Okay, so maybe you want to put the one more paragraph here. Okay, and okay, so this thing, and if you want to test it out, and there we have it. So that's our HTML output, and looks pretty good to me. Okay, so that's our HTML. So you can see that it's easier to make our code, because all we do is that we just keep the loop and just the output statements here, and it's much more easier to modify and add in enhancement when our code is refactored. So let's just save this into our version control. You can see that this HTML statement. Okay, I'm just gonna remove this change here. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove the change here, so I'll leave it back. Okay, so this all we just added in the HTML statement here. That's it. So we're done, but there's still more enhancements we can make. Now the next one is that we can, when we look at our code here, notice here, if we look at our code in get charge, notice it actually calculates based on the movie price code, right? Movie price code, if it's regular, it creates a result and everything. Okay, so here we have our HTML statement. Now, okay, so they have some new enhancements. Okay, like for example, we have new classifications. Like let's say, for example, we have new categories like R21 movies or Malay movies or classics that we want to add in our store. So when we think about refactoring, right, when we look at our code, method does a switch based on another object's attributes, which is the movie price code. But it is a bad idea to do a switch based on attribute of another object. If you must use a switch statement, it should be on your own data, not someone else's. Um, and because movie types are more volatile, I'd rather have the calculation of charges and points in movie rather than the rental type. This is so I can obtain changes within the movie. So I will move the methods to movie. Okay, so I'm going to move the methods to the movie with get charge and get frequent renter points. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it all. But first of all, I'm just going to do a calculation here. I'm going to copy it over here. Then do a little bit of calculation over here. Get charge. Okay, public double get charge. So so I'm going to just switch it on the price code. Okay, and I'm going to put an integer and I'm going to submit the method here. So I'm going to call it days rented will be from rent. So be days. This will be days rented. Days rented. Days rented. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, okay, so I've created the method. Let's just make sure it builds properly. Okay. So instead of calling this get charge, I'm going to just comment this out. And I'm just going to call return movie. Okay. Get charge days rented. Okay. That's it. Let's run it. And it works. So I've actually moved this whole method into the movie class instead because it should be based on the movie. So let's do a version control, review solution, and you can see that I moved it all. Okay, oops. Okay, so I moved all, and then I move it to, why is it added? Oh, I didn't save, sorry. Yep, so it's actually all, so everything here is deleted, and I changed it and moved it all to, so I say move get charge from rental to movie. So there I've got the get charge. Now I can also do the same for get frequent renter point because it is calculated based on the movie. So again, same thing. I'm just gonna copy this method here. And then this will be this price code. Got this price code here. And days rented will be a parameter. This dot. Oh, sorry, wrong method. this one will be int days rented. Let's make sure all my look at this Kata status. All I did was change this one. Actually, it was a change, but didn't make much difference. But it was actually supposed to be this days rented. Sorry. So that's where I can make mistakes. So that's why I shouldn't. So you can see that so this just so I can just make it clean that I created this method here. So I created the method, but everything runs properly. Okay, so all the tests run. So instead of doing this, I will just return movie dot get frequent renter points days rented. Okay, I'm going to delete this, and it should work again. So there you see. So now you can see the changes. I deleted this, moved into the movie class, and just called it from my rental class. So there we have our get frequent renter points here. So rental looks easier. It says just get charged, and it asks the movie, get frequent renter points, just calls the movie. And our methods are over here in the rental class. Now, after that, what we do next is that we're going to use. Now the problem is that, so now we've done this, we've moved the methods to the movie class here. So movie get charged in days int. Now how are we going to add in more movie categories? Now what we have right now is regular, new release, and children's. Now we want to add more. Now one way is, some people would say that once they learn object-oriented inheritance, they can use simple inheritance. So we can have movie, and then we can say regular movie is a subclass of movie, new release movie, and children's movie. However, for this problem, it's not as simple inheritance is probably not the right way. Why? Because the movie can change its classification over its lifetime, but an object cannot change its class. So the solution is instead to use the state pattern to save, to be able to configure our states, our state of our category. So instead of using a subclass, we create a property or attribute of movie, which holds a price abstract object, which has the get charge abstract method, and underneath it we have subclasses for children's price, release price, and regular price. Okay, so what we gotta do now is now what we should do is make sure that our movie class price code is encapsulated. So we have got getters and we got setters. Okay, and we got replace the type code with the state strategy. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. We gotta create an abstract class. Okay, and we gotta call an abstract. Call it public. We put public. Okay, and we gotta call get charge. Okay, and it's got to be a double. sure that everything's invite token. Oh, great. Get charge. For put a name. Okay, so that's our class, and then now we got create the subclasses, as we can see here. So we created the class. So let's create the subclasses: children's price, new release price, and regular price. So we got create a class, which is a subclass of children's price. So because it's there, quick fix implement abstract class. So we got public override class new release price. Okay, and then you can quick fix implement it. Class what's the last price? Regular price. And then we gotta create a quick fix, implement it, make sure it runs. Okay. Okay, so now what we gotta do now is gotta take each of these different charges and we gotta create price code. So now when we look at our price code here, okay, so we're our getter and setters here. So what we're gonna do is gonna set, but instead of just setting it as a price code, we gotta put this one here. Okay, hold on. We're just gonna save. Okay, let's do a save first. Okay, we're gonna look at the save, so you can see that we created this one. So let's commit. And then now we got use encapsulation method here, so it's over here. We can just come here. So what we gotta do is gotta switch based on price code. Case children's. Okay. New release. Break. Regular. Break. Okay. And we should have a backing. Okay, so again, price equals to new children's price. Price equals to new release price. Price equals to new regular price. Here. Okay. Run all. Everything works. Okay. So the next thing is that we need to have a abstract method here. Okay, so what we got here is that we've got our classes here, and let's go and look at our test scan. Okay, so we got our test, so we got to get a price code, but when we set the price code, we actually create the object here. Okay, and the other thing is instead of saving the price code inside our movie, we got to set it inside the price class, so we got to create another method over here. So again, I made a mistake. I put here public, so it shouldn't be public here. So let's put it here, and then we got to put here public abstract price code. And we got to call the property guys price code as well. And then we could say so get property. Okay. Okay. And then here instead of throw, we got to just say return price code dot sorry, it must be get. Okay. So same thing. I'll put here new release. And over here we go put here regular. Make sure it runs. Oops. Okay. And when we switch here, so instead of get price code, we got to just remove this, right? I'm gonna switch value, and then we got to just return price dot price code. So we don't use price code anymore. We got to use the property price code. Okay. So all works. So now we have moved this price code to the price. So let's do our look our version control. Oops. Let's make sure we save this. Let me look at it. You can see that we move the price to the price object. Okay, so then and what else we have to do? Now again, the next thing is the get charge. So notice our get charge here. So we base on the price code, we move. So we go one by one, we go move this. Based on price code regular, if the result is 2, we give 2 points. If the raise rented, then we just come into the price code and then we calculate the code here. So again, get charge. So let's look at our get charge for regular. Again, we come here regular. So let's look at the regular here. Okay, so regular will be here. Okay, and then we come here. Int result equals to 2. Then we come here and then we return result. Okay. Oops. So it's not, it's actually double. Sorry, so it's double. Okay. And then instead of calling price code regular, we just come here and then say result plus equals to price dot get charge days rented. Okay, so this works. So we gotta do this for result for new release, same thing. Okay, and the same thing here. Children's double result equals 1.5 return result, and then you can just replace this one here. And it works. So you can see that because it's all the same, we don't have to call result plus equals result plus equals or whatever. We just replace this with all this with return price get charged. And that's it. Okay. So that's it. So that's how we move to get charged here, and then we gotta do the one more time. We test out, make sure everything works, and then look at the version control, and you can see that we actually moved all these methods here into and apply. Instead of using switch, we use polymorphism in our classes. And what else can we move here? So the next one is to move the get frequent renter points. Okay, so same thing. So we can do is go over here. Now instead of making it abstract, we make it a virtual because there is a default points, because the only change in our method to get points only if there's a new release. So we only give 1 point. So we just give public virtual int get frequent renter points int days rented, and then we just call this one return 1 point. Only if days rented, then we give 2 points. Only for the frequent new release. So it doesn't need to check whether it's a new release, but it is a new release. So if days rented, then return result plus 1. So again, then we can do return result. Okay. And then over here, we just come here, and then we just say return price dot get frequent rental points days rented. Okay, so we can remove this one, so it makes it easier. And for this one, it's actually what this code means, that return 1 unless the days rented are more than 1, then return plus 1. So let's simplify this method and just say return days rented more than 1, then we return 2 points, else we return 1. Just this one. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so our code works, and that's it. So let's just put in our version control, modified, so you can see that we moved our method here. Okay, so we created a virtual method. That means the default will be return 1 point. Unless it is a new release, then we give 2 points, and we just call one method here. Okay, so that's almost about it. The only thing left now is that perhaps what we want to do is to make our class cleaner by using C#'s special properties. So if we look for the words like get, for example, the get methods, for example, under rental. Now this is get charge, but there are no parameters. So normally I can actually make this into a get method. So I can call get. I call it get. Okay, so obviously got to be error here because now get is a property. Right, there's no more get. It's just called charge. Okay, so rental is called charge now. Okay, and what else is there can be converted to a property? Okay, get frequent rental points should not be called get anymore. So put the get here. Sorry. Okay, and there'll be an error here, so we can remove the get and the brackets here. Okay, And we could also rename our method get total charge. So instead of saying get total charge, because it's the word get, okay, so again, call it total charge, and then I just come here, okay, and then call it total charge. Okay, and I can just remove this one. Okay, don't call, remove the get. Okay. Yep, and that's it, I think. So let's look at our classes here. So a children's price, customer, add rental, movie. We can't change this because there's a parameter that properties don't allow that. Okay, and then rental, days rented. Okay, and that's it. So that is the end of our kata. So let me just review the solution. So what were our changes? We just changed our get charge methods and get frequent rental points and get total charge methods into properties. Okay. Now you can see now obviously there's a lot of work, and why we're doing so much work, but compared to our original program, look at how easy it is to understand that there's a children's price, there's a price code, it gets a price, and then it just returns how much is charged per day rent. It's just a very simple function that says here, okay, the result is 150, and if the days are more than 3, then we return the different extra days times 150. Get how to calculate the price of a new release. It's number of days rented, and 3. How many frequent points, rented points? If you rented it more than 1 day, you get 2 points. Same thing for regular price. How do you get the charge? If you rent it more than 2 days, you're charged at 150 per extra day. So if you look at our code, it's much more cleaner, much more easy to understand. So for example, if we wanted to create another price, for example, let's say we wanted to create a price for holiday specials, I can just create another class called holiday special price, and I can just say I want to implement the thing, quick fix, implement the expect class. What's the price code? So I can create a new price code, and I can create the charge, and that's it. And that's how easy it is to create a new class. Whereas if we were to do it in the old way, we look at the old code, it would be hugely a lot of work to be done in order to we got add in a new, we got to look at the loops, how we got to edit the loop and things like that. Whereas in this way, the code is much cleaner and it's much easier to add in a new code, new price code, for example. So this is our final class diagram of price. You can notice here, and we created a movie rental, customer price, and regular price, new release, and children's price. So that's it for the movie rental kata.